What do you enjoy about your work/community activity?
What do I enjoy about my work? I enjoy working with the staff here. I enjoy working with the students.
How would drugs and alcohol impact your work?
Enjoy well.
Drugs.
That is impact me if I use them.
No, like in your environment, how would they like impact your environment that you work in?
Well, sometimes we have had students using some things they're not supposed to be having. So that's a pretty large percentage of what I do deal with. That's not something that is legally allowed on school grounds, and that kids this age are not allowed to have, period. So it's a big part of what I do.
What do you enjoy about your role as a leader?
My role as a leader, I don't know that I've ever really thought of myself as a leader, but I guess I would take it very seriously. If there are students that do look up to me for whatever reason, but that's a big task. So I would have to definitely make sure that I was doing what I'm supposed to be doing, what's expected of me, setting a good example. Yeah.
What challenges have you faced
In this job?
Yeah.
Sometimes we deal with some challenging situations. Sometimes we deal with students who are very escalated, they're very upset. They've done something that they're not supposed to have done and they've gotten caught. And sometimes they're upset with me. They're upset that I have caught them engaging in a behavior that they're not supposed to be involved in. So kind of de-escalating them, that can be kind of challenging sometimes. And let's see, what else can be a challenge? I guess anytime that it's not fun, like there's not an enjoyment that we get out of catching somebody skipping class or using vapes or having alcohol or something like that. That's not fun. We don't want that here. I have kids in the district. I don't want that here. I don't want you all doing it. I don't want them doing it. I don't want it a part of any part of their school life at all.
How did you handle those challenges?
How did I handle them? I'm very honest. I set my expectations. I tell them exactly what they can expect next. And I think that once a student has calmed down a little bit, once they have an understanding that they are caught, that there are going to be consequences involved. I don't necessarily dole out those consequences, but I'm a part of the situation as a whole, so they aren't usually super thrilled with that. But honest and consistent across the board, so they know exactly what they can expect from me.
What do you think makes a good leader?
Makes a good leader? Consistency, honesty, managing expectations, knowing exactly what, like I said, not everything that we do is fun. It's not always enjoyable to have to go through some of the situations that we've had, but a thorough communication style, letting them know exactly what they can expect from me on my end, what they can expect from the deans or the administration of the building or the teachers, and being firm. I do like to laugh and joke just like anybody else does, but there are some situations that don't call for that. You do have to be firm. You do have to be kind of in control of the situation. There's a lot of kids in this building, and if things get out of control, it's not going to end up well. So,
as a leader, how do you or can you encourage your followers to be drug-free and make responsible decisions?
I will lead by example. I don't use drugs. I don't, do anything like that. My husband does not either. We kind of surround ourselves with like-minded people. that aren't involved in habits like that. You're judged by the company you keep. So if you're hanging out with people who are involved in that type of behavior activity, you might not necessarily be doing it, but people are going to think that you are. And same for the school. I mean, if you're running around with a crowd that's involved in unbecoming behaviors or illegal behaviors, the peer pressure will eventually wear you down.
Yeah.
It'll get to you. A lot of times we'll hear, this is the first time that I've done it. We've caught somebody, with a vape or something like that. I don't necessarily believe that. I think if you're bold enough to bring a vape to school on school grounds, I don't think this is the first time that's happened. So.
You've received information or have a suspicion one of your followers have been using drugs. What do you tell them? How would you help?
Like I said, I'm a very upfront person. I'm a very honest person, but I will also go with facts. I will explain why I have these suspicions. What have I seen? What have I heard? I don't typically just go off of I just have this feeling. Like what I do is very factually based. I might have seen something on camera. I might have witnessed something in the hallways, and then if I see that behavior happening more often, then I will confront them, and I'm very honest. Say, hey, this is what I've seen, or this is what I've been hearing. Tell me what you got going on. And a lot of times, people that are involved in something like this, they are struggling somewhere else. It might be something at home, might be something at school, might be something with peers. And try to kind of get to the root of the problem and figure out what exactly it is that's going on and how can we help them. Like I said, there's no joy in suspending somebody or expelling somebody. But we also, sometimes we do have to do that, but we also want to figure out what are resources that we can offer them so that this doesn't happen again.
Why did you choose your current job?
Why did I choose my current job? Okay, so I used to be a teacher, and I worked in social service as well for a long time, and I worked with law enforcement quite a bit. I always liked that side of things. So I stayed at home with my kids for a long time, and I was kind of teetering back and forth on whether or not I was going to go back into teaching. I subbed for a little while, and then I realized that I don't necessarily want to teach. And then this position came open, and it was a great balance of being able to still work in the school system, be on the same schedule as my kids. They're also students in the district, and this allowed me to kind of satisfy my home schedule and still, bring in some sort of income as well. And I like working for the police department. I like the guys I work with. And it's interesting. It's fun. It's always something new every day. And sometimes it's nothing. Sometimes we'll go the whole day and there's not really an issue. And sometimes we'll go the whole day and there's 10 issues. So it's always something new and different. I like that.
Would your younger self ever imagine yourself as your current job?
No, probably not. I think as I got older, I didn't realize the interest that I had in the law enforcement side of things. So, no, not at all. Not at all.
So, what would your younger self wanted to have become?
I definitely was going to be a teacher. That was pretty easy. I did look into something called music therapy, providing therapy to children through music. Music has been a large part of my background for a long time, so that was another interest of mine.
Tell me something about yourself that I might not know.
You might not know. Something interesting about me that you might not know. I used to play volleyball.
You did?
I did. I'm tall. I played some sort of sport. Yeah, I used to play volleyball. I loved it. I was pretty decent at it. I haven't played in a long time. But
why'd you quit?
I graduated high school. I played in junior high and high school, and it was great. I miss it. It was a lot of fun, but I don't know. I just kind of grew up at playing, I guess.
What are some characteristics you would use to describe yourself?
To describe myself, I'm honest. I'm dependable. A lot of my friends refer to me as probably I have a kind of a core group of friends. We're all a bunch of middle-aged moms, and I'm probably the most reliable one. I love them all. Some of them are a little flaky, but yeah. I mean, if you need something, I'm there. I don't really require a lot. I'm not super emotional. I'm not very emotionally driven.
Would you like consider yourself to be brave?
To be brave?
Yeah, like confronting a student, like.
I guess yeah. In that regard, yeah. I mean, if I know my job, I know how to do it. I also know how to approach people. Sometimes we deal with very sensitive situations, and a lot of it is how you approach somebody. A lot of it is your body language. A lot of it is your tone of voice. A lot of it is your volume. And if we deal with a very sensitive situation, my goal is to never want to embarrass anybody. I never want to make somebody feel uncomfortable. So I try really hard to treat the students here like I would my own kids. Yeah. And sometimes it's not fun, but sometimes those I would refer to them as courageous conversations. They're not fun, but they're necessary.
All right, thank you.
You're welcome. You're welcome.